Chapter 8 The Morning. Aaron. I awoke to the sound of birdsong and a distinct lack of rain. Maddie. The name reverberated through my mind. She was folded in my arms, head on my shoulder, leg slung over mine, hand on my stomach, under my shirt. She didn't want a mate, least of all me, but her body leaned into mine. Her eyes followed me. There was something there. And I suspected it before the previous night, before the bond. I couldn't believe I'd managed to go this long without ties. I had a place here, even if I didn't fully conform to the rules. She felt the pressure too. As the eldest daughter, as a female wolf, there were expectations of her. And now the bond put my expectations on her, and I hadn't even meant to. Her leg shifted over me, pressing exactly where it shouldn't. Need clawed up my spine. My wolf stirred, wild and hungry. In moments like this, I felt the contradiction. I was my wolf, and it was me, but it was the wilder side of me. I tried to move back, but as her whole body was connected to mine, it startled her. Her eyes snapped open, and she looked shocked for a moment. Then, as she settled, she took in the scene, and started again when she realized she was using me as a pillow. She removed herself, and I felt the gap instantly. Giving her space wasn't going to be easy. "The storm has finished," she said, voice scratchy with the morning. I had to stop myself from pulling her back to me. I fisted my hands in the covers. I opened my mouth to say something, to ask what I could expect, as for once I found myself not willing to go with the flow. I needed to know where she was at. But she beat me to it. "Coffee?" It took me a moment to respond. "Yeah, there's coffee." We pulled on our jumpers and I fired up the camping stove. As the kettle warmed, the bubbling water disturbed the peaceful silence. Everything was still outside. There were branches and debris everywhere, but no real damage. I'd have to figure out the generator's issue. I spooned coffee into 2 mugs and poured hot water over them, adding a pot of long-life milk to each. I handed Maddie hers. She smiled at me, and I decided I'd enjoy making her morning coffee, if she'd have me. Maddie's phone rang. "Reception," she said, and answered it on speaker. "Maddie, are you all right?" Her dad's voice came through. "Yes, fine. The storm was bad, but everything is okay up here. Heading home shortly." "Good. Is Aaron all right?" Her eyes flicked to me as if checking me over. "Yes, just a minor injury last night." "Okay, good you were with him then. See you both soon. Bye, Dad." She hung up and took a sip of her coffee, the steam curled in the air. I noticed her hand trembling, so I placed mine over hers. "Are you all right?" "Yeah, just trying to figure out what this means," she admitted. "Me too," I said, and let it sit for a minute. "But I'd like to know when I can see you again after we get home." She laughed. "You see me most days." I cut her a look. "You know what I mean." She held my eyes a moment and looked away with a sigh. "Dad will be thrilled." "I hope so. I didn't want to lose my place." "Oh, he will, don't you worry." "What will he expect?" I asked, wondering whether these feelings of pressure were her internal feelings or from him. "Well, have you ever seen a couple hit by the bond not almost immediately move in together? I thought of sharing my space with her, of having someone in my home. I found I didn't mind it at all. But she looked like that left a bad taste in her mouth. Is it being with me that worries you, or is it just what comes with it?" "No," she said, swallowing, looking on the verge of tears. "It's not you. I mean, I hope we can learn to trouble each other less, but it's all the rules that come with this. I want you to be near me. I want to complete the bond, but I don't want to force you. I meant it when I said I don't want to cage you." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "Maddie," I whispered. My thumb brushed away her tears, but it didn't erase the ache tightening in my chest. I hated that I had any part in her pain. She pulled in a breath. "Sorry, I'm just feeling a lot of things." She looked down to compose herself, and I waited. "So what would you do without the bond?" She looked thoughtful. "Probably not much different. I like my life, my job, and my friends." "You don't have to give up any of those." She looked at me as if I was being naive. "And what about when the babies come?" Her voice cracked slightly on the last word. I lifted her chin and looked in her eyes. "That's not something I'm expecting, not yet. Only when we both want it." She nodded, silent. I watched her sip her coffee, her hand steady now. Whatever came next, I'd let her choose it. "We'll go when you're ready." Chapter 9 Home. Maddie. Waking up in Aaron's arms was disorienting, but it felt so right. He was so warm, and it felt like I'd just fit next to him. He was being cautious with me. I'd never suspected that of him. I enjoyed the peace of the morning, having hot coffee in the quiet out here with him. Then my phone rang. Reality calling. I couldn't forget Aaron's face when he asked if being mated to him was so bad, the weight in his voice. I hadn't expected to matter to him, not like that, but now, maybe I did. I went behind the screen, removed my clothes, folded them into the backpack, and willed the change. Once in my wolf form, I could smell it, clear as day. My mate. I walked out and nudged his leg. He grinned down at me and gently hooked the bag over my back. My wolf leaned into him like we'd belonged to him forever. I wanted to yank her back. Instead, I stood there, letting her settle where I couldn't. I watched as he removed his clothes and popped them in the bag. He was as beautiful naked as clothed. All hard lines, lean muscle, and confidence. He met my eyes and smirked, enjoying that I was watching, and changed. His large, dark wolf stretched experimentally as if testing his new body. He rubbed his snout along mine and then trotted forward. Once I was through, he pushed the brick that was propping the door open, and it closed. We ran home, dodging debris on the trail. I thought back to when Aaron had blown into town. He'd been so sure of himself riding on his motorcycle. Much later, seeing him made me realize that I had zero spark with my boyfriend. Sam had been the perfect choice for the elder's daughter. He was solid, kind, and involved with the pack, just waiting for the mate bond to come. I'd looked at him, his blonde, slightly messy hair, his warm blue eyes, and felt nothing. I'd looked at Aaron, his closely cropped dark hair, so dark it looked black, his wolf tattoo visible beneath the line of his shirt, and I'd felt it then. I was almost sure of it now. There had always been something there. We re-entered the main territory at a relaxed pace and went straight to my house. Aaron slowed his pace so that he was next to me. Inside, Dad was pleased to see both of us. Aaron changed in the laundry. I rubbed my head against Dad's leg and he scratched my ear. I left them talking in the kitchen. I felt Aaron's eyes on me as I left the room. I knew what he wanted, but I couldn't give it to him yet. After a long, hot shower, I stared in the mirror as I combed out my hair. I looked the same, but I felt it. It hummed. I knew that he'd gone. I could tell. This tether was stretched taut. I paced the room like a caged animal. My skin itched. My soul itched. Something pulled at me, taut and invisible, and I knew exactly who it was tied to. Everything looked quiet and calm outside. We'd seen some damage from the storm on the way back, but nothing dire. I paced back to the bed and picked up my phone, threw it down again. I felt like there was something I needed to do. Aaron had been so open to the whole situation. I expected someone like him to balk at the responsibility. The way he looked at me, it was like he needed me. My fingers hovered over the phone. Want to take me out for dinner? I hit send before I could overthink it. His reply was almost instantaneous. Funny for a guy who'd been off the grid until an hour ago. Absolutely. Pick you up at 6? I smiled to myself. I could do this. Take a nap. Date my mate. Chapter 9. Date. Aaron. She looked nervous, her hands folded tight in her lap. I wanted to reach over, touch her knee, and offer something steady, but I knew better than to push her. Not yet. I'd borrowed Jason's truck as it was more comfortable than the bike in the cold. However, I'd love to show her the bike if she'd go on. She hopped up and fastened her seatbelt. Her soft floral perfume filled the air. Pleasant, yet not overpowering her innate scent, which grounded me. Hi, I said, looking her over, desperately wanting to take her in my arms. I settled for raking my eyes over her jeans and fitted sweater. Her hands folded in her lap, her hair in a low ponytail gathered at the nape of her neck. South, she said with a smile. I pulled out and set us down the one road from the Packlands down to the town. How are your ribs? She asked. A little bruised, otherwise fine. A bruise was growing, but it'd heal soon. I was more focused on what was happening in my chest, the feel of that tether that stretched too tight as I had walked away from her. Good, she said, as if to herself. I thought we'd go to the den, hopefully take the pressure off. Is that okay? That sounds great. I needed this to go well. That she'd reached out so soon pleased me to no end, but it felt so tenuous. Like one misstep and we'd be back where we started. I scored a park on the road outside the bar, and by the time I got around to her side she was out, not accustomed to waiting around for someone to open a door for her. Wooing her was not going to be easy, but I didn't need easy. I needed her. The den was quiet for a Sunday evening. The cold weather put a damper on going out. I was pleased. Nothing spread faster among wolves than who was dating whom. The music was just loud enough that it wasn't easy for our sensitive wolf hearing to pick up the conversation. It was a pleasant mix of soft rock and pop. I led her to a booth near the back, my hand gently on the small of her back, and tried not to think of how it felt waking up with her draped across me this morning, how her eyes tracked my movements, even now. Maddie slid into the middle of the white cushioned seat and folded her hands back in her lap. I had to sit on the other side. There were 4 places set with cutlery on paper napkins. A waitress came over grinning at me. I thought her name was Sheila. We had flirted plenty, but it had never gone anywhere. "What can I get you?" She held her notepad poised, black apron tied at the waist. I looked at Maddie first, who coolly ordered a light beer and a burger and fries. I duplicated the order when Sheila wrote it down, and then returned her gaze to me. I gave her a small smile and returned my look to Maddie. Maddie fidgeted with the napkin. I wish I'd slipped in on her side. I felt further away than I wanted to be. "Everything okay over there?" I asked softly when Sheila was far enough away. She lifted her eyes to mine. "Did you date her?" "No," I answered honestly, and things were not going to go down the right track if she kept asking questions like that. I'd had fun, sure, but that was before I knew we were mates. She nodded. "So I'd like to know your favorite food." I lobbed a softball to her. She didn't pause, simply answered beef. "Any way it comes, burger, steak, casserole." I tipped my head back and laughed. I did not expect that. She cracked a smile. "What's yours?" "I'd say steak, but your answer could be true for me too." We tossed easy questions at each other as we waited for our orders. Sheila delivered our beers with the kind of grin at me that should be reserved for males who weren't here with females. It was as if I saw my old behavior through a new lens. The door opened. I smelled her before I saw her. Molly. Crap. She came straight over, oblivious. She probably thought this was just a friendly meal. She leaned towards me like she always did, all brightness and too much familiarity. We'd always been clear about what we were. "Hi, Maddie, Aaron." Maddie's whole body tensed. I felt it as clearly as my own heartbeat. Her wolf was right under her skin, bristling. If I were her, I'd be feeling the same. "Hi, Molly, how are you?" I kept my tone flat, shifting my posture towards Maddie, subtle but deliberate. My wolf approved. "Good. Haven't seen you around in a little while." "I was out doing some maintenance work." She twirled the end of her ponytail. "Do you want to catch up soon?" I saw Maddie's fingers tighten around her glass like she was ready to throw it. My wolf surged, wanting to shield her, wanting to bare teeth at Molly. "Molly," I forced my voice steady, "Maddie is my mate." Molly blinked. The brightness faltered for half a second, but she recovered. "Oh, congratulations. I didn't know." "No one does yet. Please keep it quiet." I kept my gaze on Molly, but all my focus was on Maddie. Her anger felt like heat between us. Molly nodded and gave a weak smile, and drifted toward the bar. Silence. I risked a glance at Maddie. Her face was carefully blank, but her fingers were still clenched. My wolf wanted to lean into her, soothe her, but I knew better. "So your girlfriend is the first person we told." Her voice was soft. Too soft. My stomach twisted. "She is not my girlfriend." "Oh, sorry, your bed buddy then? Do we need an official announcement to break the bad news to all your bed buddies?" Her words were knives. My wolf snapped inside me, caught between anger and guilt. "She was nothing serious, and no one else since I moved here." Her eyes cooled. The distance between us grew like a wall. "Maddie," I leaned forward. "There's no one else. Not now." I didn't have to say, "and there never would be again," out loud. She didn't look at me. I sat back, fists tight in my lap. My wolf howled at the rejection. The space between us I couldn't close. We'd just started, and I was already losing her. We ate in silence for a few minutes. Her eyes stayed down, focused on her burger. My appetite was gone, but I forced myself to chew, to match her pace, to give her space. Finally she spoke, her voice quieter. "You didn't know." I looked up. "I'm sorry." She wasn't angry now, just sad. "You couldn't have known we'd be bonded," she continued. "You didn't do anything wrong." The knot in my chest tightened. I hated how much that sounded like forgiveness, like distance. "I didn't," I said carefully, "but I still wish I'd done things differently." Her gaze flicked to mine. "Why?" "Because you're here now." She swallowed hard, then she picked up her burger and took a bigger bite than necessary, clearly done with that conversation. I sat back watching her chew like my life depended on it. Maybe it did. When the plates were nearly empty, she yawned, trying to hide it behind her sleeve. "Shall we head back?" I asked reluctantly. She nodded too quickly. I stood and waited for her to slide out of the booth. When she stood in front of me, close enough that I could easily give in to the urge to pull her close, her gaze lifted, eyes flicking to my lips, then darting away. She bit her bottom lip. I reached out, hesitating only a second, and brushed my hand down her arm until I caught her hand. She let me. I didn't grip too tightly, just held it steady, solid. Her fingers tightened back. Progress. I led her out, matching her pace, our hands linked between us. I could feel her pulse through her skin just as fast as mine. When we reached the truck, she hesitated before letting go. And when we drove home in silence, she didn't pull away from me emotionally. She was quiet, but not shutting down. I could work with that. For the first time in my life, I was going to take it slow. Not because I wanted to, but because she needed me to. And she was worth it. Thanks for listening to part 3 of Stormbound. Check back for part 4 next week, or if you want to read or listen ahead, find the links below for where to get it.